So what year was it that you're showing up in college?
61.
61.
I started.
So you do 4 years of college. It's 1965.
Right.
Vietnam is really not escalated yet at that point.
Well,
but did you think...
It was pretty hot at that time. And I basically, by that time, I was on the military thing, right? I wasn't going to be a chaplain anymore. So I was in Pershing Rifles. I was on the rifle team. I was on the drill team. You know, if it smelled military, I was in, okay? And then you have to remember, I had 4 years of high school, ROTC, also, before I went to Benning.
So you're pretty good at your drill, I take it.
Oh, I had, I mean, infantry, IOBC, Infantry Officers Basic Course, piece of cake. I mean, I went through that. I was an honor graduate in my class. And in fact, this is really funny. My class, about 200, brand new second lieutenants, right? About a third of it was National Guard, and about a third were reserves, and there were only a few of us that were regular Army. See, I got a Distinguished Military Graduate Commission, regular Army infantry, right? And so very few of us were regular Army in my class. So our attitude was not really the best, shall we say. And so we get to Benning, and they marched us to class. I mean, this wasn't, to us, it was insane. We're second lieutenants. Just tell us where the building is. We'll get there, right?
Yeah.
No, we had to march in formation.
The Army.
So needless to say, the attitude was not real good with my company. So the day we graduated, okay, they used to have a award, a streamer that companies could put on their guidon. It was called the Tiger Tactics Award. This was for really gung-ho, companies and all that, which ours was not, needless to say. Well, the night before, we stole one from another company, and we put it on our guidon. So on graduation day, we march by the headquarters, and out comes the commander. The guy's livid. And you say, "Where'd you guys get that?" "Oh, it's just appeared." And we were graduating. Then what's the guy going to do to us, right? So we all graduated, and that was it.
So 1965. Didn't you go to? You went to graduate school. After.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I told you I had we didn't have a lot of money for me to go to college, so I knew I had to earn it myself, right? So when I was in high school, my senior year, I worked 33 hours a week. I worked from 5 till 10 o'clock at night at a warehouse in Chicago, and I worked 8 hours on Saturday so I could raise money. Okay, I also played in 2 bands. I told you I played clarinet and saxophone. I played in a Polish band for weddings, and that was so cool because by the third set, everybody was so blasted, nobody cared, right? But I also played in a Jewish band. So I used to play for bar mitzvahs. So I knew all the temples in Chicago. So I used to tell people I had them coming or going either way. And then I had I took out 2 government loans, and that's the only way I could afford to go to school. And so 65 rolls around, I graduate.
And I find this interesting for a real obvious reason. You majored in English in college.
Yeah, the reason I did that, Jocko, is, once again, I'm a pretty focused guy, and my focus was on becoming the best officer I could be, the best leader I could be of infantry soldiers. And I knew I was going into combat, right? So as a freshman, I tried to determine what am I going to major in to prepare me for that. So I looked at psychology, and I looked at English, not rhetoric, but English literature, okay? I rejected psychology in my first year because we had these classes with Pavlov and his dogs and all this stuff, and I was going through that, and I said, what does this have to do with people? I want to learn how to, work with people. Well, literature, whether you read the whole continuum of, every man or Shakespeare or Hemingway, if you read that stuff, there are universal traits of human nature that come out at you, okay? If you can understand that, you can realize what motivates people, okay? And then not only that, but if you read the best writers of all time, I just felt by sheer osmosis, I'm not the smartest guy, just by sheer osmosis, I could absorb that and I could express myself better. So that's why I majored in English.
And I've talked about that. I was an English major as well, and I was prior enlisted, so I'd been in for 8 years, and actually I'd been in for 10 years by the time I went to college, and I knew right away I was going to be an English major. And the reason I wanted to be an English major, because I'd gotten commissioned and served 2 years in the SEALs before I went to college as an officer, and I realized you got to write everything, you got to read directives from people, and you got to understand what they're saying, and then you got to communicate with your troops. And I wanted to have a good command of the English language. The part that you talked about, the understanding of human nature, was something that I saw once I got in and I started reading it. I started applying and thinking about what I was reading. And now this is something that I advocate for everyone to. If you want to really understand human nature, you got to read.
Yeah. So